Alright guys, so in this video I'm going to talk about starting to weave, and there you're going to be making yarns go back and forth and left to right. So those are called the weft threads. They're going right to left. Left rhymes with weft. That's how I remember that. Alright, so the warp is these going up and down that we just put on. The weft is what we're going to weave in between, okay? So we're doing the weft now. So you'll need some different yarns. I've got a couple different ones here that are going to help make this possible. So this is when you pick out all the fun colors, textures, and different yarn types that you want to use. So I think I'm going to start with my black. And if you've got a big yarn like this, try to find the tail that's coming out of the center, because then I can just pull it like so and it doesn't make a big mess. So I'm going to pull some yarn off, it's a couple hands worth, maybe a couple 2 to 3 feet at most. I'm going to cut that off. Then this is my needle, okay, my yarn needle. So I'm going to place that yarn through there, okay? And we're ready to start weaving. So first, I'll zoom in a little bit. I'm going to start at the bottom of my weaving. Okay. And I'm going to follow an over-under pattern. So first, I'm going to pick up a yarn. Okay. Then I'm going to go over the second one. I'm going to pick up the third one. The fourth one I'm going over. And then continuing that pattern. So I'm going under, over, under, over, under, over. Let's pick it up. There we go. Under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Okay, so as you can see, every other one is going to be over or under. So I'm just going to pull my needle through. Okay, I'm going to pull all that yarn through. All right, and I have a little bit of a tail, okay? So I'm going to push this down. You can use your fingernails. You can also use a plastic fork. That's a really handy way to do this step. So this is called packing it down, okay? Packing down the yarn because you're putting it all together. All right, so let's do the next row. So now I'm going to do over, under again, but the opposite of what I did on the first row. So this last thread was going over. So that means on my second row, when I'm coming back, I'm going to go under it. So I'm going under that, over the next one, under that, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Now we're going over, under, and then over for the last one. So it's the opposite this time. So if you remember the paper weaving, this is how you weave it, is when it goes opposite. That's going to make this black yarn, the weft, stay nice and locked in place. All right, so I don't want to pull it tight. Okay, notice that there's a lot of space here. You can make a little arch like this and then pack it down like so. Or I'm going to pull this back up. You could make kind of a little mountain like that and then pack it down. I prefer making an angle like that, and then working from this way, the corner, I'm going to use my fingers to just pack it down like so. So continuing, we're going to go to the next round. So remember, we're doing the opposite, under and over, that we did on the previous row. All right, so I made my arch like that. I'm gonna zoom out just a bit. So I made my arch, and now I'm gonna pack it down. So I'm starting on the corner, and I'm packing that down. So for the most part, you're really not gonna see the warp, okay? Because we're doing, our yarn that we're weaving with is a lot thicker. So let's say you wanna change colors. So let's go give that a snip. And what we want to do now, when we switch colors, I've got this tail, okay? Instead of just leaving it, what you're gonna do is tuck it in, okay? It's gonna help you out in the long run, so you won't have to tuck your tails later. So I'm just gonna use my fingers, and I'm doing the opposite of what I did before. So the over and the under and the over. And I'm just going in maybe about 4 yarns here, and then I'm going to clip that. Okay, so now my tail is going to be tucked in. That's very important, okay? Because then if you leave them out, you're gonna have to go back at the end and weave in all your tails, and it's a pain in the butt. Trust me. This one, see, I forgot to tuck this in, so I'm gonna have to go tuck it in later, okay? But that's what I mean by leaving it. Then you have to tuck it in later. Now it's already tucked in, so I don't have to worry about it. All right, so I'm gonna switch to this orange. And we'll see if we can find our inside thread. Although it may not be happening today. All right, I can't find it, so I'm gonna pull off the outside. I'm gonna have to be very careful not to make this into a jumbled mess. Okay. Cut off a little bit. And then I'm gonna go ahead and thread my needle. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and start. So I'm gonna come from this side, do my over under pattern. So you'll notice on the tail, I've already woven it in, so I'm gonna continue the same pattern over, so those 2 threads will just be in the same space, and that's okay. Just go ahead. All right, so I've got that to make my little arch. I'm gonna pack that down. And I'm gonna weave in my tail, okay, so you can get a really good look. I'll show you. All right, so just going in a few. And then I'm going to clip that. All right, and you'll go ahead and continue with that color, and that will also start to make stripes in your weaving. So in the next video, I'll show you some more techniques. But yeah, this is changing colors and weaving.